Hello people and welcome back to yet another Papo dinosaur toy / mold review. Here we have the Papo Velociraptor, which is very similar to the Jurassic Park Velociraptor, which technically isn't a Velociraptor, but here we go. We're calling it a Velociraptor, that's what it's called on the website. You can buy these at Everything Dinosaur. They're pretty cheap. I eventually ended up getting them for about £9.50 in the end. So this Velociraptor is about 16 centimeters in length. It's about the same size as the Gorgosaurus, roughly. Obviously, this isn't accurately sized Velociraptors, was way smaller than this, and not even Deinonychus grew as long as a Gorgosaurus. But obviously, they can't make all of them perfectly sized next to each other. Still, pretty space efficient, obviously, if it's nicely next to that one. Incredibly high detail, like all of them. I wouldn't expect anything else from Papo, honestly. All of their models are incredibly high quality, high detail. Their painting is also very good. You can see here the eye's been varnished. And the colour scheme is also very creative and nice. You can see here that this side isn't exactly the same as this side. So of course wouldn't be a carnivorous Papo dinosaur without an opening mouth. Articulated jaw there, as you can see. That's about as far as it goes. Do not push it past that point, as I say about all the other ones. Don't push them too far. The Gorgosaurus, I ended up pushing that one a bit too far, and it became very loose. You can see with these ones, unlike the other ones, the jaw is more noticeable. There are less fat folds, and the necks aren't very thick on this one, so obviously it doesn't allow you to cover up the joins as easily. You can see that rounded join there, but that's fine. Still can't really tell that it's articulated very much. The inside of the mouth is pretty detailed, not as detailed as the other ones. The teeth all seem to be one thing, which is fine because Velociraptor teeth were very small and there were lots of them, so that kind of conveys that like lots and lots of teeth kind of look. They're not my favourite compared to the T-Rex and Gorgosaurus, but I still really love these ones. They don't close fully. But as you can see, you can still see the teeth there, so they're kind of gritting their teeth a bit, but still very, very cool looking, and it works really well. The only problem I have is these ones. I have two to demonstrate this bit. We have another boy, we have another one in the pack. I want to display the standing. This is a bit confusing because I have two here. One of them, as you can see, they have almost flat feet, and you can see because the back of the feet are rounded and one of their toes isn't on the ground, because obviously they have to have that raptor sickle claw, and it makes their like ankles pretty heavy at the back. They're also standing up really upright, however they balance on the tail, as you can see here. So that stands up perfectly well, the feet flat on the ground, the tail balancing, and it's standing perfectly upright looking onward. This one, however, for some reason, I checked all around it doesn't have any damages whatsoever, but this one doesn't stand up. This one falls forward. It falls forward onto its arms, luckily, so it doesn't just smack its face into the ground. However, for whatever reason, this one has slightly uneven feet compared, and I guess it's something to do with the moulding and production of it. But also the fact that the toes have to be shaped like this to give it that raptor look, they sometimes fall over. This one not as much, but this one I usually have to either weigh down the very back of the tail, which keeps the whole thing up surprisingly, even if it's just like a tiny bit, even if I just put the very end underneath that, it stands up. So one stands up pretty well, and sometimes it does actually balance. As you can see there, the tail is off the ground, however the feet are perfectly straight. They were £9.50 each. Not much, honestly, since they're pretty small, these ones. Now on to the pros and cons. Alright, pros and cons for these boys. The pros, again, like every Papo dinosaur I have found so far, very high quality, high detail, very good plastic, pretty hard to damage as well. I've dropped them quite a few times and they don't chip as much. Obviously I'm not saying to drop them or be heavy-handed with them, still be careful, especially with the raptors with their long tails, long arms and sickle claw, as well as really thin jaws compared to the other ones which are more tyrannosaurid in shape, meaning they're thicker and denser. The pros are that it's high detail, high quality, very well painted, and for the cons it's harder to determine because one of them has an uneven foot but not the other one, so I guess moulding can go wrong when it comes to a Velociraptor that has its toe off the ground, obviously. Sometimes they fall over, they're harder to balance than the other ones. Overall, I think I'd give these a 7.8 out of 10, I think. So nearing 8. I don't know. I think this one's more of a like 7.5 and this one would be an 8. So yeah, I'm just kind of like combining them, I guess. That's not how to do math. For now, I think I would give the overall product an 8 out of 10. So yeah, bye!